morning. Good morning to everyone out there. Thank you all for starting your day with us. Today is Monday, August 3rd, the first Monday of the month. And in a major military win, over 60 terrorists now killed, thanks to a collaboration from the Department of State Services, vigilantes, and hunters. Then over in Greece, how two helicopters collided mid-air while trying to take out the fires that have taken out large swaths of Europe. 2 people lost their lives here. Then the world is remembering the life of Vincent Pastore, one of TV's most iconic tough guys, known for his role on The Sopranos, who passed away Saturday at 80 years old. I'm Anieze Osakwe in for Ojiokpe, and this is What's Trending. Now listen, before we get into the show, let's see what you're talking about right now. As always, we're locked in on conversations on X, Facebook, YouTube Live, and of course, Leke, and 3 stories are dominating your timelines, not only this morning, but this weekend. Trending at number 1, this alleged thief defiantly facing off the very group of people pursuing him. Over 7 million people have watched this video on X alone. And they're shocked and somewhat amazed at this alleged criminal's brazenness, saying this is aura for aura personified. Trending at number 2, a lot of conversation around the credentials of the nation's 2027 candidates, what the candidates chose to include, what they're leaving out of the public domain, all of that conversation taking place on social media. And then trending at number 3, we have this new video showing the latest merch or merchandise from an All Progressives Congress giveaway with heavy renewed hope branding. And no, it's not rice, it's not oil, it's a brand new smartphone. We'll get into it later in the show. But listen, here's where you come in. Join the conversation. Use the hashtag What's Trending with Ojiokpe. Comment on our live feed and on Leke, of course. Tell us which of these stories matters most to you, because for the next hour, we are getting into everything that has Nigeria and the rest of the world buzzing. But first, former President Olusegun Obasanjo set social media on fire on Friday when he publicly declared that selecting former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as his running mate was the single biggest mistake of his presidency. Now, he said this during a fireside conversation with the activist and entertainer Charly Boy during the presentation of Charly Boy's new memoir right here in Lagos. Let's watch.
The man I pick as my running mate, my number 2.
Jay,
if I had known him as I came to know him later, I would not have picked him.
You're talking about Atiku, your VP?
My vice president. I don't know what name you want to give him, but my vice president. I mean that, not true. But, of course, what I know about him later makes me thank God, because God did not allow his actions and reactions to overwhelm me or to divert my own focus from Nigeria, or to harm Nigeria even. So, and then there's no bitterness, because, well, he did things that he believed he should do, and God did things that God had to do, which makes me to be able to achieve what I was able to achieve. So.
Now that was an explosive moment. Obasanjo and Atiku have had one of the most publicly bitter fallouts in Nigerian political history. And what's so fascinating is the way in which it's all played out essentially in the public sphere. Now what makes Obasanjo's comments towards Atiku especially cutting is the timing of it all, because it comes as the former vice president is also positioning himself as a major opposition force ahead of 2027. But what does it say about a candidate's credibility when his own former boss is basically saying that hiring him was a mistake. Now, before I take reactions, I have to say good morning to my morning show panel. Rufai, good morning. Ayo, good morning. Dr. Afati, good morning. It's great to be with all of you.
Good to see you.
This Monday.
And how is the preparation going?
It's going.
I've seen the Ashebi notice.
Yes, it's coming out slowly. Yes, we're getting there. That's the hope. That's the prayer. Thank you, Dr. Afati. So I'll take one reaction from Bruno on X, who said, the funniest part of Nigerian politics is former presidents acting like political commentators on the very systems they engineered. Nigerians are tired of elder statesmen treating governance like a personal diary. If you knew, you should have acted then, not dropping hot takes decades later when it has zero consequence. Then there was Philip, who said, there's a reason companies ask for letters of recommendation from formal places of work. Unfortunately for Atiku, he won't be getting any from his former boss. So tell me, why should Nigerians hire him for the highest office of the nation? Well, in response, the former vice president fired back on Saturday, declaring that when Obasanjo left prison in 1998 with nothing to his name, it was Atiku himself who not only received him, but he clothed him and fed him. These are in his words. In a statement from his spokesman, Atiku said that he watched that Obasanjo interview with sadness rather than anger. Speaking on the collapse of their relationship, Atiku said that all of Obasanjo's bitterness comes from his refusal to back an unconstitutional third-term agenda, a stand he says he'll wear as a badge of honor for the rest of his life. Dr. Abati, I'll come to you on this first story. I mean, what a public display of basically saying, I reject this man as my vice president, but you ran alongside him for all of these years. So what do Nigerians make of this?
Okay, there was a gentleman there that you quoted who said this is of no consequence. I don't think that the former President Obasanjo, was speaking in vain. Given the atmosphere at this moment, this is a political season. What President Obasanjo just issued is a testimonial on his former deputy. And it was a story, as presented, of disloyalty, of treachery, of, backstabbing. And that was the way he presented it, by saying that, look, I could not have chosen this man as my running mate, deputy, if I knew what I later got to know, whether it was God that saved me. For a man who is seeking to become president of Nigeria in 2027, that's a very damning verdict, testimonial, reference from his former boss. He's more or less saying that this is not a man that you cannot rely on, and he's not a man that you can trust. What President Obasanjo had said over the last few weeks is simply that Atiku tried to remove him as president, plotted against him, to the extent of even bribing people. I think the name of late Honorable Gali Naaba was mentioned as having been bribed by the Atiku, the Turaki Waziri, the Waziri Adamawa. So all of that in the public domain, of course, is very uncomplimentary. And that is the reason why the spokespersons for the Waziri Adamawa have also kicked back to say, look, it was Abubakar Atiku stopping the third-term agenda, which President Obasanjo has continuously denied. And then, of course, they've added a new dimension that it was Atiku feeding President Obasanjo when he came back from the Abacha gulag. Well, whether a man who had been president before and who had achieved so much will find himself in such a delicate situation that he will have to be fed. However, all of this, will amount to a distraction. The election Nigerians are working towards is the 2027 general election. What we should be talking about, the campaigns will start on August 19, is what will President Atiku Abubakar do? Whether he gets celebrity endorsement from President Obasanjo or not, that's not the issue.
Right.
What does he want to do this time around? What does he think Nigerians need? why should Nigerians vote for him? However, as for the setting, I would like to congratulate Charly Boy. I think Charly Boy is now, is he 76? Yes? He's an old man, but we still call him Charly Boy. So Charly Man, you know, for writing, for writing his, you know, memoirs and documenting his significant experience for posterity. And I think he has impacted this society well enough in his line of choice that he deserves to write that memoir.
Absolutely.
So maybe when he turns 80, he will say, well, I'm no longer Charly Boy, I'm now Charly Man.
Yes.
Because the boy is old enough to be a man.
Exactly. And, you know, to that point, it was a very eventful, you know, memoir fireside chat, because there was this other moment where the former president, Obasanjo, before he moved into his seat, essentially was seen jumping off of the stage. And we have that video, so let's play it right now.
Everybody run, run, run. Yeah. Everybody scatter, scatter. Yeah. Someone nearly die. Some people lost some bread. Someone just die. Police they come, army they come. Confusion everywhere. 7 minutes later, all done good and brother. Police don't go away, army don't disappear.
What a moment. People are always talking about the energy and the strength of the former president. So that was incredible to see. But let's now turn to matters of insecurity, with heartbreaking scenes coming out of Kafanchan in southern Kaduna, which is a predominantly Catholic community, where a new video shows Saturday's devastating burial of 27 people who were killed by terrorists just last week. Let's watch.
Nothing to do with revenge. This has nothing to do with reprisal attack. This is criminality. And such criminality can only happen to a country that does not respect the rule of law.
Now, this video is so painful to watch. These were 27 lives that were brutally taken in an instant overnight last Sunday. 30 people were killed in this attack in total, but 3 others were buried earlier. And online, I mean, a lot of people are questioning when the nation will decide that it's at its breaking point, when dozens of people are being murdered across the country on a weekly, but even daily basis at this point. And meanwhile, it comes as yesterday's sermon from Bishop David Oyedepo, the founder of the Living Faith Church Worldwide, on insecurity is striking a nerve with the public, as Oyedepo questions the government's apparent inability to fully get the violence and the killings under control. Let's watch.
You can't slaughter members of my family and want me to pray for you. I pray against you, against your household, against your generation. In the name of Jesus. The bubble is burst. You mean they kill people every day? And government is pretending not to know what to do? I've kept quiet. When you see God keep quiet at wickedness, it's because the bubble is about to burst. Yes. He said, I've long time held my peace, God said, but now I will rise like a wounded lion. And I will devour at once. Please listen to this. Take it down. When you see God keep quiet at the wickedness of the wicked, it's because the bubble is about to burst. As the Lord lives, whose I am, among myself, this bubble will burst. Amen.
Now, Rufai, it's really interesting to see clerics use their platforms to step into these conversations of national importance, but it's also clear that speaking out without concrete action from the state and federal governments won't necessarily bring concrete results. And there's also this dark, cyclical nature in all of these insecurity stories. We see the mass graves, the coffins lined up, and it's difficult to see every day.
So, I was on another platform over the weekend where somebody called my attention to the fact that cases of insecurity are grossly underreported in Plateau. And he told me about a local government where people pretty much die almost every week. And I've not seen that in the reportage of the mainstream media. And there are many cases like that. Just over the weekend, some parishioners were affected, I think in Enugu, where some people were taken away. and the killings have continued. You know, this wouldn't have made it to the mainstream media except for the tremendous work being done by a charity called Equipping the Persecuted that bring these videos to the fore and bring all these mass burials to the fore. The president many times have said that he's going to try to nip this in the bud. He has done some things, but he has not done everything holistically to be able to stop it. The parts of the north and other parts of the country, still a very big killing field. And constantly you have that state of killing. I mean, we just reported a story. I mean, I just saw one of the stories just this morning that one of our high court judge that was kidnapped, I think has finally been released. So you have many cases like that, and you don't see any solution. So it also segues into what Cardinal Oyedepo said, that things are not well. And I think the realization of the government and trying to do something to fix it is more important than trying to gaslight the people and act like everything is well. The government keeps insisting that we've done some things. The question is, yes, you have done some things, but there's still a lot more that needs to be done. These are two truths that can exist. And the understanding is how quick we can solve the problem. But we have not solved the problem effectively. People that perpetrated these crimes have not been brought to book. The killing is still continuous. The narrative is the same. It's one thing over and over again. Security forces are always getting there after the attacks. And that's how sad our country has become. So something must be done as regards it. As regards the Atiku and Obasanjo case, please, I want to quickly play the devil's advocate. It's easy for Obasanjo to say all of these things now. Anyway, he has always said them. In fact, he wrote a books berating Atiku Abubakar and what he has done. But let's play devil's advocates. What did he think Atiku would have done? Atiku that felt undone in 1993, that left his own, race because he wanted to be a party man. And when they returned to democracy, Olusegun Obasanjo emerged, obviously, because the political zeitgeist said that the power should go to the west, the southwest. And he was brewing an agenda for a third term. Anyway, he has denied it, but there are many people that have come out to say that he was brewing an agenda for a third term. So what did he expect Atiku to do? Atiku too was ambitious. Like some that analyzed, he didn't pick Abubakar Rimi because obviously, we all know the antecedents of Abubakar Rimi. He was a man of himself, he stood for himself. He didn't pick Jerry Ghana. So what did he expect an Atiku to have done? I mean, I think that's just a question we should put out there. And because we always see this air of Obasanjo saying, yes, Atiku is this, speaking earlier than thou. And sometimes Obasanjo talks as though he didn't also make moves to be able to stop Atiku Abubakar or nip him in the bud with all of these things he has done. We were in this country, we didn't forget how Atiku even had to go to court to be able to ensure that he ran in that 2007 elections, where the same Tinubu that is an adversary to him today was the one that stood with him to ensure that he emerged. Yeah. So when we hear this narrative from one side, and I think Atiku too should come out and speak more often. I think all the candidates should come out and speak more often, engage in debates, engage in, conversations and interview. When he speaks more often, Atiku too should be able to tell his side of all the things too he suffered in the hands of Obasanjo, so that the conversation and the narrative will be balanced. Because it wasn't too an easy sailing. Yes, Obasanjo can say that Atiku, brought forward betrayal, but Obasanjo too did fight back. It was not an easy fight as it was. So maybe Atiku too should tell his own story and write his memoir. So we have a case of balancing acts.
But let's now turn to another story and how the Independent National Electoral Commission has taken a significant step in the electoral process, publishing for everyone to see the academic credentials, details, and supporting documents like school certificates submitted by the 2027 presidential candidates and their VPs, including, of course, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and Nigeria Democratic Congress candidate Peter Obi. So here's what we know. President Tinubu submitted his Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration from Chicago State University in 1979. But he didn't include details or certificates related to his primary and secondary schooling. Atiku submitted when he got his first school leaving certificate to his West African school certificate, but no actual school names. Then Peter Obi submitted details showing his attendance at Augustine's Primary School and Christ the King College, and graduation from the University of Nigeria at Nsukka. And I'll come to you on this story, but I'll first take one reaction from X. With Sun writing, INEC allegedly released the credentials of the presidential candidates Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If you were hiring someone to help run your business, which of them would you hire based solely on their credentials? And I thought that was a really interesting question to pose to the public. I mean, what's your take? Who do you think people should hire, essentially, as president?
Thank you for that question, because who should people hire would be based on elections and how Nigerians feel. And there are many reasons. Yes, you can say, okay, running a company, but you cannot, it's not like for like. Running a country is a lot more complicated, more nuanced, so many factors when it comes to that. What you cannot beat is qualifications. You need someone who is experienced and qualified. The Electoral Act, as amended in 2026, makes provisions for, school certificates, secondary school certificate, your certificate from secondary school or its equivalent. And that is where it becomes difficult to interpret that what constitutes an equivalent. In other parts of the world, Nigeria is not the only place where it's done. You would be able to obtain, for instance, entry into the university if you didn't have formal education prior through demonstration of equivalence, whether through work experience or through other kinds of learnings that were not based on primary and secondary school education. I just wanted to put that out there. Another legal framework for this is that Section 138 of the Electoral Act of 2026 also states that using your credential can no longer form part of post-election petitions. It can only be for pre-elections. And so one of the criticisms at the time when the legislation was being formulated was this part where they took it out of the Electoral Act, saying that say for instance, you want to present a petition before the courts, you cannot use the fact that their credentials, cannot use their credentials as part of your petition post-election. Now, having said all that, some people have also said that, let's focus on the more important things around what they would do for us. Let's leave these as distractions. It's not. And that's why the reason I laid the foundation of what is and what ought to be based on this particular matter is that this has moved away from just a credentials conversation to a conversation on integrity and trust of the person that would then become the leader of this nation. I say this because, yes, you can say, you only need an SSC. Yes, you can say, it doesn't really matter where they're coming. Let's focus on what they can do. But if someone had presented, a situation whereby they listed their criteria, or it's come under question, it questions the reputation and integrity of the candidate as a whole. Then the next question we would want to ask is, do Nigerians care about reputation? Right. Do Nigerians care about integrity? What has our politics become in recent times? Is it a politics of money? Who is the person that can share you? In your intro, you talk about a smartphone. Yes. Who is the person that can sell to them, with good words? So maybe we should also interrogate the Nigerian voter, because all this ought to matter based on how people go out to vote. The reason why someone in the Western country would resign if a matter of a lack of integrity comes up is because they know that it would affect their chances of representation, because the people will oppose. But do the Nigerian people oppose? Do we care about that? If you see the conversations that have come out of these, whole release of credentials, it should tell you the mindset of the electorate, of the voting population. Maybe we need to interrogate that. Maybe we need more education around the kind of leaders that should be. Look at the other leaders who have led nations out of poverty. What did they have? What criteria did they have? Were there questions around their background and their integrity? So, I mean, it's across all board, all the boards, whether it's Atiku Abubakar, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whether it's Mr. Peter Obi, that's what we should be asking. Now, what do the Nigerian people want when it comes to the election of their leader? What are they looking for? And of course, I already talked about the provisions of the law.
Yes, and Ayo, that's the perfect segue into our next set of stories, because over in Delta State, you have this Warri-based Catholic priest who's calling out the renewed hope tactics of rice giving during election season, describing it as, quote, totally irresponsible. Now, there's this new clip that first came out on Friday where the priest questions why this is the campaign's modus operandi when the money for rice could instead be used for roads, businesses, or how about stable electricity? Let's watch.
Ago, I returned to the house and I saw that they told me somebody brought a bag of rice. And when I looked at the bag of rice, it's a customized bag of the President of Nigeria, and it is a renewed hope ambassador of Nigeria. The President is aware of this. This is very unpatriotic. Instead of using this money to build companies, instead of making electricity, building power plants to make electricity stable, instead of building industries, instead of the elites coming together, the government coming together to build industry, all that the supporters of the president and very jobless and irresponsible elites that we have in this country, all that they do is to do this kind of sycophancy.
I mean, listen, it's debatable whether the money used for this rice is actually enough to build the roads, the electricity that the priest is talking about, but it makes one question what a government's vision really is for its people when a primary strategy during elections is giving out rice, oil, sewing machines, fridges, and the list goes on. And Dr. Abati, in my intro, I spoke about how there was also this renewed hope cell phone that was given out. I know we may have that video, but it seems like we're taking on new levels of giving. What should people make of this? Should they accept it? Should they reject it?
Well, I was just amused by the priest. All that grammar because of a bag of rice. You should just collect the rice and eat, But I think that the more important thing is about voter education. INEC as an agency, a department on voter education. Civil society groups also have these voter education groups. Now, we just need to educate the Nigerian people that a bag of rice cannot feed you for 4 years. And that's why we keep talking about informed choice, about creating a space for people to vote. The second part of it is that many of these people who collect these empowerment gifts, whether in Plateau State or in Delta State or in Lagos State, they are also very cynical. Many of them are so cynical that they will collect it and they will still vote according to their conscience. So the only way they can be supported is to be given a free space for them to make their choice and for them to be properly educated to know that selling your votes or your PVC is not going to take you anywhere. The unfortunate thing is that the average Nigerian has become so cynical about politics that he or she doesn't even think that the politicians can make a difference anyway. So that priest blowing grammar, irresponsible, this and that, because of a bag of rice, he can just take his bag of rice. The other argument is about poverty. The people, it's not poverty most of the time. It's either greed or cynicism. But we have to just keep educating the people to know that they must make an informed choice, whether it is in Osun on August 15 or anywhere else in any part of Nigeria.
Absolutely. So we'll, continue to follow that story. But now let's turn to one that reads like a scene straight out of The Godfather, with the FCT minister Nyesom Wike saying that the biggest mistake River State Governor Sim Fubara made as his successor was trying to build his own political structure, forgetting who brought him to power. Now, Wike made these comments this Saturday in Port Harcourt, where he was essentially saying, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. Let's watch.
The mistake the governor made was trying to say he wants to do it by himself.
But he wanted yet another trying to set up his own structure as against the structure that built him. And it was too early. In fact, it did not take up to 100 days. We saw it. We said something must be fundamentally wrong. But I I wanted, look, stabilize the place. Move on from where I stopped. I laid a very fantastic foundation. So we'll be able to compete with Lagos. Look, as I go to FCT, what FCT was collecting monthly as IGR was 8 billion naira monthly. But as I spoke to you today, we have hit up to 40 billion naira a month. 8 billion naira every month. But as we came on board, we have hit up to 40 billion naira. That is people who want to work, who want to achieve results. So his mistake led to where today it is too far.
Now, Rufai, I'll come to you on this, but I'll take one quick reaction from Chris on X, who said, Wike, you didn't just want a successor, you wanted a remote control from Abuja. Fubara was elected to govern the people of Rivers State, not to serve as an extension of your office. The reason you never let the man breathe and work. Now, all in all, Wike also used this particular media conversation as an opportunity to declare an official end to this Fubara-Wike beef, saying, let bygones be bygones. But that was the moment that was really trending because people were really like, wow, you're saying that this was his biggest mistake, was essentially not listening to the people that put him in this position.
With due respect, he didn't make any mistake. Fubara didn't make any mistake. And you see, it's easy for Wike to say all of this, because he won in the contest. If he didn't win, it will not be the case. And the only reason why he won was because President Tinubu was on the throne and they supported him. Pure and simple. If Atiku Abubakar had won that election, the last election, or any other person had won the election, Wike might not be relevant today. That's just it.
You said President Tinubu was on the throne. He's on the throne.
Okay, if President Tinubu... he's on the throne now, yeah.
You said was. He's on the throne.
Slip of tongue.
Yeah.
Slip of tongue.
Empirical evidence.
Slip of the tongue.
Sorry.
Well, you meant that it was on the throne at the time the thing happened, but it's still on the throne.
Yes, currently.
Sorry, Cardinal
Empirical.
Sorry, Cardinal Rubela. Sorry, Cardinal. So, as I was saying, so it's just because President Tinubu, won that election, he aligned with him, it was political permutation. It's so easy for Mr. Yuson Wike to say hands that fed him. How has he treated the likes of, what's the former governor of Rivers State? No, it's not Mechi. Odili. How has he treated them Odili today? So it's so easy for him to say, because pretty much it was not a fair fight. It was a fight that he was getting the presence, the might of President Tinubu on the throne siding with him. He forgets that just for him to be able to win this fight, President Tinubu committed an aberration to this constitution by declaring a state of emergency. We all know what transpired. Till today, they've not investigated how monies were spent under that state of emergency. So it was not a fair fight. It was because, his hands were held up high. But you see, people that God has been fair to, that they won in a fight like this, they will beat their chest and they will get excited. You get? Because the path was easy for him. So he doesn't have a right to say that. Everybody too fights that fight. What Fubara tried to do today, he too did it to people like Amechi and other people too that supported them. It's called consolidation. I'm not talking about the Wasiu Ayinde track of 1994, Consolidation, the album. It's called Consolidation. Okay. So everybody does it. If you win the fight, it's because the stars just align with you. And they will say these things.
Right. Yeah, and to that point, it really just brought to the fore how much Godfatherism is so prominent in politics, not just here, but globally as well. But let's now turn our focus to an incredibly disturbing story out of Benue State, where an 11-year-old girl identified as Linda Mberga was discovered battered, bruised, and tied to a bench in the early hours of Friday morning. Now, according to a woman who posted about this on Facebook, the young girl, who's also an orphan, was allegedly beaten up by her uncle after being accused of stealing 1,000 naira. Let's take a look.
So, how are you going to get it? Impopine su te want to go. Looking for you come in Yanishi Harala. Eating Guni Combating, later on the Kosu, or Dotor.
Now the money, can you know? Now this is why they talk, say, then they asked her yesterday about money. So,
that is so difficult to watch. I mean, we all in the studio just kind of were taken aback when we saw that video. And as of this morning, there's been no official statement or announcement of an official investigation from either the Benue State Police Command, but clearly this is child abuse in its most severe form. And beyond that, there's also the need to ensure that as vulnerable as this young girl is, she's protected in the immediate aftermath of everything she's gone through physically, emotionally, mentally at just 11 years old. I'll come to you on this story,
No, it's a very sad story. I'll keep this very short. Lagos State has what they call the Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, which deals with these kinds of matter. I don't know if other states in Nigeria have the equivalent. Even if they don't, Nigeria is signed to the Child's Rights Act that provides the legal provision of children. I think it is important that this uncle, whatever his name is, comes under that law and he's prosecuted to the fullest and ensure that whatever punishment, that's obviously investigation, is meted to him fully. But the broader conversation should be, how do we protect children? In other parts of the world, what you look at is child protection as opposed to child salvation. That is better because you don't even want a child or any child like Linda to have endured what this has happened. If we can see the bruises on her face to this extent, you can imagine what has been going on prior to now that it's come to the fore. How can we protect children more in Nigeria? How can we strengthen? We already have the legislation. That's the truth. It is how we can enforce this. Should we have reporting channels, emergency services? Do we even have a social service framework that children like this, when they are adopted by the system, will be well looked after? Because we've also heard of systems of abuse, even in state protection services like, orphanages and the like. So we have a duty of care to every Nigerian child, and we need to have proper legal framework that would be enforced to ensure that whether you're an orphan, you have parents alive, that you're protected, because this is a country that does not protect its young is killing and eating its future. That's just it. And so there are many Lindas out, in the country. We need to ensure that we protect more children in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Okay. This incident was in Benue State. If you are looking for the enabling law, look at the Child Rights Act and look at the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015, which is more expansive. Those are the two relevant laws.
Thank you, Dr. Abati. I mean, that video is so sad to see, and we hope that, the investigation will take its due course. But let's now turn to another video that's gone viral on social media as it captures the boldness, the confidence of a suspected thief in action. Now, in this video, which emerged on Friday, a thief is seen holding a knife defiantly in front of his own pursuers, with the clip racking up over 7 million views on X alone. Let's watch. I mean, what's going on? Online, people have said that this took place right here in Lagos State, but what's really making people do a double take is this guy's confidence after allegedly committing a criminal act. And earlier in the show, we said that we'd ask for your comments and read them. So let's take one from NJ4 on Leke Leke reacting to this very story. And he wrote, "An alleged thief brandishing weapons. I must say the word effrontery. I'm not encouraging theft, but we have recorded how citizens were killed because of an alleged stolen phone that does not worth the life of 2 full-grown cows. It's possible he was protecting himself from jungle justice until the police arrived. And we know how angry crowds behave in Nigeria because you won't hear their own side of the dead lion after the hunter returns victorious." Now, if this alleged thief or any criminal is not supposed to surrender to the angry crowd, but the police, and I hope they arrived on time, because he may not have the oxygen left in him to say his story. It's also risky how furious the alleged thief positioned himself. Thankfully, no one was crazy enough to approach him out of his own overzealousness. The crowd is not trained to dismantle such an armed person. Let the government improve the visibility of law enforcement in streets and corners of the nation, especially areas where jungle justice is prevalent. Let's tread with caution. Let the right thing be done, please. I mean, I don't know, Rufai, any quick comments? Jungle justice?
Yeah. So the case of jungle justice, and we totally, go against that. I mean, if something like this happens, but there's also something in the Constitution called citizen arrest, where you can actually hand them over, But for me, you see, that boldness and that confidence, for me, is a metaphor of where Nigeria is today. That's how emboldened thieves have become. And for me, the knife on one hand is the hold on the judiciary. The stick on the other hand is the hold on public narrative and law enforcement agency. That picture is a metaphor for where Nigeria is today. Dr. Abati, we were both here when somebody was being chased for a national corruption case, that we had guests coming every week to defend the corrupt person. Every week.
It's called freedom of expression.
And so the media has become complicit.
Yeah.
Every week to defend the corrupt person, not sounding a note of warning. It took interventions for that to be stopped. Well within and said, this person should be allowed.
We are here to defend Section 39,
to
freedom of expression.
I know, I'm not.
Article 19.
Yes. To face the full wrath of whatever he has done, to face his time in courts.
Right.
But you see, and that's how criminals are emboldened. So it's also a metaphor for Nigeria. We live in a country where criminality and crime is so loud and embodied. In as much as we can talk about against the jungle justice, but it's also a metaphor for where our country has become today.
Very interesting. There's always so much to read into in all of these trending videos that we always kind of bring forward. What does it say about who we are and where the nation is today? But let's now highlight Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umo Eno, who captivated worshipers at a special leadership service in Abuja on Sunday, delivering a powerful keynote message on the theme Becoming the Voice of Influence. Now, the governor challenged the congregation to rise above the distractions of social media, of entertainment and fleeting trends, warning that too many voices online amplify confusion instead of offering solutions. Let's take a look.
Everybody is on the social media, everybody. That's a voice, strong voice. And it competes with all of the things that is happening. The voice of politics. Like Papa said, so many noise you see around politics. This one throwing stone at the other one, this one looking at what they're undermining, undercutting. These are all voices. Then the entertainment, that's another area completely. The songs we see these days, the kind of display we see these days, they are voices. In our generation, songs used to make meaning. They used to make meaning. You can follow through the lyrics. You can understand what they are singing. But in this other generation now, you hardly even know what they are putting together. You just hear, do me, do me, do me, do me. What are you doing? What's that? How do you put them together? But it's influencing a generation. The voice of fashion. It is even affecting the church today. You see people dress in the church. You wonder if they are coming for a nightclub or something. People wear bomb shorts into church and there's nothing wrong about it. After all, God looks at the heart. But I also know that your physical body is the manifestation of your beliefs. You are only displaying it for us to see what you believe in. Who you are is being made manifest. So if what I see does not represent the state of your mind, then I don't know what else will represent that state. Wherever we are, I want you to know, and please hear me and hear me well, God wants to make you a voice for your generation.
There you have it. Governor by day, pastor by calling. This is truly inspiring. Governor Umo Eno continues to prove that faith and governance can walk hand in hand. And that's, just incredible words from the Akwa Ibom State Governor. But let's now take our milestone, because yesterday, the 2nd of August, was exactly 29 years since Nigeria and the world really lost one of music's great talents, Fela Kuti, the father of Afrobeat and an artist who used music to fight the power. Now, Fela was born on the 15th of October 1938 in Abeokuta, Ogun State, and while he was initially sent to London in 1958 to study medicine, he instead enrolled at the Trinity College of Music, kickstarting a journey that would change African music forever. Fela created a genre unlike anything the world had heard, fusing traditional Yoruba musical elements with American funk and jazz after a tour of the United States in the late 60s, where he encountered the politics of people like Malcolm X and the Black Panthers. Now, from there, Fela's music became a means of political resistance. He was arrested hundreds of times, lived through countless beatings, but he never stopped going.
The one dash us human rights. Animal one dash us human rights. Animal can't dash me human rights. Both are not friend to Thatcher and Reagan. Both are not friend to some other leaders too. And together the one dash us human rights. Animal one dash us human rights. Animal can't dash me human rights. Animal one dash us human rights.
May his soul continue to rest in peace, and of course his legacy lives on through his sons, Femi and Seun Kuti, his grandson, Made Kuti, but also very much in the DNA of every single Afrobeats artist who has taken Nigerian music to the global stage. And now I believe we have time for our good news report, which is on, Lagos being named the new city for the African Football Awards, the CAF Awards, thank you. Let's take our good news report now. Where in a massive win for Nigeria, Lagos has officially been selected to host Africa's biggest night in football, the 2026 Confederation of African Football Awards ceremony later this year. Now, Lagos has hosted it before, but the official announcement came this Saturday from Lekan Fatodu, who's the Director General of the Lagos State Sports Commission. Now, the CAF Awards take place every year to honor the top performers in the sport across the continent. Every year, the ceremony recognizes a range of categories from individual players to coaches, clubs, and national teams for their performance throughout the year. The 2026 edition is also set to take place at the Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and Creative Arts, one of Nigeria's leading cultural destinations.
Je m'appelle Coupé Coupé Bibamba.
What an incredible achievement, and congratulations to Lagos for cementing its status as one of Nigeria's top destinations for national as well as international events. I mean, Lagos continues to fly that flag for Nigeria and international.
Nigeria, honestly,
yes.
Well, this is fantastic.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Lagos State.
Of course, and thank you all for your great analysis.
Fela lives.
Fela lives on through all of us.
Thank you very much.